does this world endure? Only an instant does this world endure. 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 Well, hello. Thank you all so much for joining me. I'm Willie from the Ozarks, forgiveness teacher, trying to share with you how to have a miracle, have all the miracles you ever want by practicing forgiveness. We're on lesson 300 in A Course in Miracles workbook for students. We're in the original edition here on Friday, October the 27th of 2023. Only an instant does this world endure. This is the thought that can be used to say that death and sorrow are the certain lot of all who come here, for their joys are gone before they are possessed or even grasped. Yet this is also the idea that lets no false perception keep us in its hold, nor represent more than a passing cloud upon a sky eternally serene. And it is this serenity we seek, unclouded, obvious, and sure today. Only an instant does this world endure. We seek your holy world today, for we, your loving sons, have lost our way a while, but we have listened to your voice and learned exactly what to do to restore to heaven, to be restored to heaven in our true identity. But we have listened to your voice and learned exactly what to do to be restored to heaven in our true identity. And we give thanks today the world endures but for an instant. We would go beyond that tiny instant to eternity. Only an instant does this world endure. And we've been shown exactly what to do. What is it? Well, we're learning that we're to keep in check with our sense of peace. And when it's lost, we've made a thought that God didn't make. And we learn to ask for help and have Him restore our minds to their holiness. Eternal holiness abides in me. And we draw on it. We ask the Holy Spirit to awaken us to the idea that's contrary to love. And we let it go. We learn that we can let it go because it is not real. It's an illusion. And that's why only an instant does this world endure, because it's a dream that we're going to wake up from. And it's like, the book of James talks about it being like a puff of smoke that appears for a moment and the wind blows it away. Well, that's what this world is like. And regardless of how, years of you think that you're going to have to be doing something, but the truth is that looking at it from the lens of eternity, it's only an instant. So next time you get tempted, just say, well, it's only an instant. Only an instant does this world endure. And take heart. Okay, and we'll read our associated reading here at the end, right before we part. That way you can use it as a springboard for your meditation. Let's go take a look at our text reading. We're in chapter 31, the last chapter of the text, the simplicity of salvation. Once we finished it, we're going to read the manual for teachers. The real alternative, which is starting in paragraph 33, which is section Roman numeral 4, the real alternative. And okay, so let's just start. There is a tendency to think the world can offer consolation and escape from problems which its purpose is to keep. Why should this be? Because it is a place where choice among illusions seems to be the only choice. And you are in control of outcomes of your choosing. Thus you think within the narrow band from birth to death, a little time is given you to use for you alone, a time when everyone conflicts with you, but you can choose which road will lead you out of conflict and away from difficulties which concern you not. Yet they are your concern. How then can you escape from them by leaving them behind? What must go with you? You will take with you whatever road you choose to walk along. What must go with you? You will take with you whatever road you choose to walk along. 34. Real choice is no illusion, but the world has none to offer. All its roads but lead to disappointment, nothingness, and death. There is no choice in its alternatives. Seek not escape from problems here. The world was made that problems could not be escaped. Be not deceived by all the different names its roads are given. They have but one end, and each is but the means to gain that end. For it is here that all its roads will lead, however differently they seem to start, however differently they seem to go. Their end is certain, for there is no choice among them. All of them will lead to death. On some you travel gaily for a while before the bleakness enters, and on some the thorns are felt at once. The choice is not what will the ending be, but when it comes. Boy, only an instant does this world endure. 35. There is no choice where there is no choice where every end is sure. Perhaps you would prefer to try them all before you really learn that they are but one. The roads this world can offer seem to be quite large in number, but the time must come when everyone begins to see how like they are to one another. Men have died on seeing this because they saw no way except the pathways offered by the world, and learning they led nowhere, lost their hope. And yet this was the time they could have learned their greatest lesson. Isn't that something? So here, when people have lost their hope, that's when they could have learned their greatest lesson. All must reach this point. Wow, we all need to reach this point where we don't see any hope in the world, but we see it in an inner awakening. All must reach this point and go beyond it. It is true indeed there is no choice at all within the world, but this is not the lesson in itself. The lesson has a purpose, and in this you come to understand what it is for. 36. Why would you seek to try another road, another person, or another place when you have learned the way the lesson starts, but do not yet perceive what it is for? Its purpose is the answer to the search that all must undertake who still believe there is another answer to be found. Learn now, without despair, there is no hope of answer in the world. Learn now, without despair, there is no hope of answer in the world. You're not ever going to find anything that's truly satisfying. Remember, Jesus said that the foxes have their holes and the birds of the air have their nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. It's because there's nothing's going to satisfy us in this world. It's not our home. Our home is an inner home, and we can go inside and find what will truly bring us happiness. Learn now without despair there is no hope of answer in the world, but do not judge the lesson which is but begun with this. Seek not another signpost in the world which seems to point to still another road. No longer look for hope where there is none. Make fast your learning now and understand you but waste time unless you go beyond what you have learned to what is yet to learn. For from this lowest point will learning lead to heights of happiness, in which you see the purpose of the lesson shining clear and perfectly within your learning grasp. Take hope when you feel you're on the road to despair. There's another way. And you're close to it when you're feeling lost. 37. Who would be willing to be turned away from all the roadways of the world unless he understood their real futility? Is it not needful that he should begin with this to seek another way instead? For while he sees a choice where there is none, what power of decision can he use? The great release of power must begin with learning where it really has a use. And what decision has power if it be applied in situations without choice? 38. The learning that the world can offer but one choice. The learning that the world can offer but one choice, no matter what its form may be, is the beginning of acceptance that there is a real alternative instead. To fight against this step is to defeat your purpose here. You did not come to learn to find a road the world does not contain. The search for different pathways in the world is but the search for different forms of truth, and this would keep the truth from being reached. 39. Think not that happiness is ever found by following a road away from it. This makes no sense and cannot be the way. To you who seem to find this course to be too difficult to learn, let me repeat that to achieve a goal you must proceed in its direction, not away from it, and every road that leads the other way will not advance the purpose to be found. If this be difficult to understand, then is this course impossible to learn, but only then, for otherwise it is a simple teaching in the obvious. That's what we're learning, a simple teaching in the obvious. Don't make it difficult by walking away from love. Paragraph 40. There is a choice which you have power to make when you have seen the real alternatives. Until that point is reached, you have no choice, and you can but decide how you would choose the better to deceive yourself again. This course attempts to teach no more than that the power of decision cannot lie in choosing different forms of what is still the same illusion and the same mistake. All choices in the world depend on this. You choose between your brother and yourself, and you will gain as much as he will lose. And what you lose is what is given him. How utterly opposed to truth is this, when the lesson's purpose is to teach that what your brother loses you have lost, and what he gains is what is given you. And instead of the other way around, that in your brother's loss is my gain. Keep it secret so he doesn't know what I'm doing to earn money off him, maybe is a good example. But I'm going to gain something by his loss. Instead, the power of what Jesus is trying to get us to see is how utterly opposed to truth is this, when the lesson's purpose is to teach that what your brother loses you have lost, and what he gains is what is given you. So I'm going to back up and read just a couple of sentences again. All choice in the world depends on this. You choose between your brother and yourself, and you will gain as much as he will lose, and what you lose is what is given him. How utterly opposed to truth is this, when the lesson's purpose is to teach that what your brother loses you have lost, and what he gains is what is given you. 41. He has not left his thoughts, but you forgot his presence and remembered not his love. No pathway in the world can lead to him, nor any worldly goal is one with his. What road in all the world will lead within, when every road was made to separate the journey from the purpose it must have, unless it be but futile wandering? All roads that lead away from what you are will lead you to confusion and despair. Remember, you're love beings. That's who you are. So you want to follow that road. That's why, remember, our associated reading is in kindness is the only thing that we look upon. And the only thing we see is kindness, because we've learned to practice forgiveness and follow reality, truth, the love that's always part of our life, that we've just blocked it with beliefs that we benefit when our brother doesn't benefit. All roads that lead away from what you are will lead you to confusion and despair. Yet has he never left his thoughts to die without their source forever in themselves. He has not left his thoughts. He could no more depart from them than they could keep him out. In unity with him do they abide, and in their oneness both are kept complete. And the last paragraph of this section, 42, there is no road that leads away from him. A journey from yourself does not exist. How foolish and insane it is to think that there could be a road with such an aim. Where could it go? And how could you be made to travel on it? Walking there without your own reality at one with you. Forgive yourself your madness and forget all senseless journeys and all goal-less aims. They have no meaning. You cannot escape from what you are, for God is merciful and did not let his Son abandon him. For what he is, be thankful, for in that is your escape from madness and from death. Nowhere but where he is can you be found. Nowhere but where God is can you be found. There is no path that does not lead to him. Wow. So let's not be on an illusion of a path, thinking that we're getting closer to God. Instead, let's recognize that love is the way, love is the answer. We're going to follow the Holy Spirit's teaching and guidance. Okay, well, let's go back and take a look at our lesson for today, 300. Only an instant does this world endure. And read our associated reading with it. What on earth is going on today? What's American Beer Day, Boxer Shorts Day, Cranky Co-worker Day. And remember, a cranky co-worker is just following a path that's not themselves. But your job is to see beyond the crankiness to the appeal for help and offer the help. Offer them love. Frankenstein Friday, written by Mary Shelley, Frankenstein. International Bandanna Day. Well, hey, hooray for bandanas. They make great masks if you're not wanting to, breathe in a lot of dust or maybe even other things. I started wearing one during the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, because I thought at least I wouldn't be spitting on people when I'm talking. And I think it probably protects a little bit from some floating particulates in the air. National Black Cat Day, and that's a United Kingdom celebration. Cats, Felis is a genus, Sylvestris catus is a species. National Breadstix Day. National Mentoring Day in the UK. National Mentoring Day. And I'm glad you come along to help let me mentor you. Thank you. Thank you so much for letting me share A Course in Miracles and what power forgiveness can offer us. How that we are love beings, and we're remembering that. National Potato Day, and we'll talk about a potato in just a minute. Navy Day, Nevada Day. Nevada was added to the U.S. in 1864. Occupational Therapy Day. Sylvia Day for Audiovisual Heritage, and it's the objective of the Sylvia Day for Audiovisual Heritage is to preserve audiovisual recordings. World Lemur Day, and lemurs, they're only found in Madagascar, and yet there are 8 different genera or genuses, and there's 111 known species, and they're finding more all the time. Isn't that something? But they grew up in Madagascar. They're a matter of fact, if I remember right, the Urantia book says that they're the original link between ape and human. That the lemurs were I'll have to go back and check that, but I'm pretty sure that's what I remember reading in that. That they were the common ancestor for both humans and the primates. And then I said I wanted to tell you, oh, here, what else did I want? What was the Lemuridia? Anyway, that's your Lemur. Let's talk a little bit about the Idaho baking potato, also known as the Russet Burbank potato. And the Russet Burbank, I love Luther Burbank. Just a lot of the things that he had to say, I really appreciate the man who talked to plants. Russet Burbank, late. It's a late potato, where you remember your Yukon Golds are an early potatoes, and they don't keep as long. They'll keep for a few weeks, but where a russet, they're a long keeping. And they don't mature until late in the summer. So then you've got something to keep you all through the winter. So I like the Russet Burbank for that reason. And he developed them because after the potato famine in Ireland, that had this blight that was killing all the potatoes, so he developed a variety that was resistant to the blight, and that's what your Russet Burbank. And it's it's the original Idaho potato. It's the one that so many people grow today. I think it's the world's leading potato. A favorite, and this is out of Gurney's. A favorite for baking, frying, and boiling, developed by Luther Burbank over 100 years ago, it's still a bestseller. Late variety produces dependable yields of fine-flavored, white-fleshed, brown-skinned tubers, and they store well. So that's your, and what is it? A Solanum is your genus, tuberosum. So a Solanum tuberosum. Okay, let's go read our associated reading before it gets much later. The real world. And keep with you, only an instant does this world endure. The real world is a symbol like the rest of what perception offers, yet it stands for what is opposite to what you made. Your world is seen through eyes of fear and brings the witnesses of terror to your mind. The real world cannot be perceived except through eyes forgiveness blesses. So they see a world where terror is impossible and witnesses to fear cannot be found. The real world holds a counterpart for each unhappy thought reflected in your world, a sure correction for the sights of fear and sounds of battle which your world contains. The real world shows the world seen differently, through quiet eyes and with a mind at peace. Nothing but rest is there. There are no cries of pain and sorrow heard, for nothing here remains outside forgiveness. And the sights are gentle. Only happy sights and sounds can reach the mind that has forgiven itself. What need has such a mind for thoughts of death, attack, and murder? What can it perceive surrounding it but safety, love, and joy? What is there it would choose to be condemned, and what is there it would judge against? The world it sees arises from a mind at peace within itself. No danger lurks in anything it sees, for it is kind, and only kindness does it look upon. For it is kind, and only kindness does it look upon. The world it sees arises from a mind at peace within itself. No danger lurks in anything it sees, for it is kind, and only kindness does it look upon. The real world is the symbol that the dream of sin and guilt is over, and God's Son no longer sleeps. His waking eyes perceive the sure reflection of his Father's love, the certain promise that he is redeemed. The real world signifies the end of time, for its perception makes time purposeless. The Holy Spirit has no need of time when it has served his purpose. Now he waits but that one instant more to take his final step, and time has disappeared, taking perception with it as it goes, and leaving but the truth to be itself. That instant is our goal, for it contains the memory of God. And as we look upon a world forgiven, it is he who calls to us and comes to take us home, reminding us of our identity, which our forgiveness has restored to us. Okay. Only an instant does this world endure. This is the thought that can be used to say that death and sorrow are the certain lot of all who come here. For their joys are gone before they are possessed or even grasped. Yet this is also the idea that lets no false perception keep us in its hold, nor represent more than a passing cloud upon a sky eternally serene. And is this serenity we seek, unclouded, obvious, and sure today? We seek your holy world today, for we, your loving sons, have lost our way a while. But we have listened to your voice and learned exactly what to do, to be restored to heaven and our true identity. And we give thanks today. The world endures but for an instant, and we would go beyond that instant to eternity. Only an instant does this world endure. Be sure to do the best you can at your longer meditation morning and evening, and an hourly remembrance and thanksgiving. As you say today, only an instant does this world endure. And yesterday I was talking about the moon phases and talking about full moon, and I said new moon. New moon's when there's no moon to see, but full moon coming up tomorrow. And you might, after this little time with the Course in Miracles, take a little moment of quiet. Longer the better. Only an instant does this world endure. 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 This is the thought that can be used to say that death and sorrow are the certain lot of all who come here. For their joys are gone before they are possessed or even grasped. Yet this is also the idea that lets no false perception keep us in its hold, nor represent more than a passing cloud, more than a passing cloud upon a sky eternally serene. And it is this serenity we seek, unclouded, obvious, and sure today. Only an instant does this world endure. Only an instant does this world endure. We seek but your holy world today, for we, your loving sons, have lost our way a while. But we have listened to your voice and learned exactly what to do to be restored to heaven and our true identity. And we give thanks today. The world endures but for an instant. We go beyond that tiny instant to eternity. Does this world endure? Only an instant does this world endure. Only an instant does this world endure. Only an instant does this world endure.